Welcome, everyone. I am so grateful that you could all join us today. It's coming to the end of the school year now, and I'm sure that everybody's energy levels are, kind of trickling off a little bit as we get to the summer holidays. And I just wanted to thank everybody for the incredible things that you've done this school year and the amazing support that you've provided the Wakelet team. Everybody that joins the webinars, everybody that shares their ideas. It really genuinely inspires us, and it helps us. It helps motivate us in what we do, because there are very few places on earth where you can join a webinar and see in the same place at the same time somebody from Morocco, somebody from Macedonia, somebody from Turkey, somebody from the US, all joining and exchanging these incredible ideas. So I wanted to thank you all so much for being here, taking an hour of your day to spend some time with us all. So this is I believe the 5th or 6th community webinar special that we've done now. This is the showcase series, and it's, everybody knows by now that this is my favorite webinar series by far, because it's a chance for us to speak with some incredible people within the Wakelet community, and they can share how they're using Wakelet. They can share some incredible tips and tricks on how they've been using Wakelet in their learning environments. And today we have some incredible tech coaches who will be sharing their stories about Wakelet and be sharing some of the awesome ways that they're using it. So I'm going to, without further ado, go ahead and do a few introductions. So Fons, how's it going? Let everybody know who you are and what you're into, let's say.
Hey everybody, how's it going? It's a pleasure to be here, Misbah. Thank you so much, James, and everybody at Wakelet. Thank you so much for everything that you've done for our educator community and just giving us this tool and inspiring us. I'm thankful to be here. I am from South Texas. I work for Sherryland ISD, which is south of San Antonio. And yes, believe it or not, there may be many people out there that didn't know that there was still some Texas below San Antonio. Often is the case that a lot of people don't know that. So we are south of San Antonio, about 4 hours south. I'm an instructional technologist here for our district. This is my 5th year, and I'm just really excited just to share with you just the way that we use Wakelet here in our district to engage our community. So I'm excited to share. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fons. I know that you've got some incredible things up your sleeve, so I can't wait to hear your segment. Next up, we've got Lisa. Hey, Lisa, tell us who you are and what you're about.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Misbah, and everyone on the panel. Thank you so much for inviting me to showcase what I do with Wakelet. Again, my name is Lisa Abbott, and I'm a digital learning specialist from Texas, so another Texas person. I'm in the north part of Texas in Fort Worth, kind of close to Dallas. Everybody knows where Dallas is. Yeah, very far north of Fons. And today I'm just going to be sharing with you how I use Wakelet with the teachers that I support. Like I said, I'm a digital learning specialist, so I help teachers integrate technology in their classrooms. And so I use it maybe in a different way than an everyday teacher would use it. So I'm going to kind of share my ideas in the ways that I use it. So thank you for inviting me, and I'm glad you're all here.
Thank you, Lisa. I'm sure you've got some incredible perspectives to share with everybody today. Next up, we've got Trevor. Trevor, take it away. Let everyone know a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, thank you. I'm Trevor Terry. I'm from New Brunswick, Canada. So I'm, I guess, the only panel member today that's not from the US. I believe the only one that's not from Texas. And I'm also the only one I noticed that doesn't have tech in my Twitter handle. So I'm gonna have to change that. I'm gonna have to put that in there somewhere, right? But very happy to be here. So I'm an educational support teacher. So my job is also to help teachers integrate technology into their classes. And to be honest, Wakelet is one of my favorite things to talk about. So I have a colleague that I share a workspace with, and she always says that whenever someone comes in and I have the opportunity to talk about Wakelet, she loves watching it because I light up and I get very excited. So I'm happy to share a little bit about how I've been using it and how teachers I've been working with have been using it today. And I very much thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much, Trevor. We're looking forward to it. And lastly, we've got Sarah. Sarah, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Reed, and I am also a digital learning specialist from Texas. I actually work in Fort Worth ISD along with Lisa, and we actually both have just really loved Wakelet this year. I don't know how we could have even gotten through this last year without it. We used it a lot for our webinars as far as sharing out resources and things like that. And I just can't say enough good things about Wakelet and the support that you guys have given us during this last year. So I'm just very honored to have been asked to join you guys here today. And I look forward to learning alongside you guys.
Thank you so, so much. I really appreciate it. And like a very, very big thank you to all of you for joining. It makes such a difference to this community when we have figures like you who join these webinars and help share really inspiring stories about how you're using Wakelet. But nobody's here to see me today, so I'm gonna start this off, kick us off with Fonz. Fonz, let us know how you've been using Wakelet recently.
All right. Well, let me go ahead and share this with you. And my Wakelet story goes back beyond this year, about 3 years, actually almost 4 years, starting in this position and being an instructional technologist. I have had the privilege and the honor to actually work with parents during our Technology Tuesdays. So what we do is we have one meeting a month from the beginning of the school year till the end of the school year, where we do Technology Tuesdays, where I talk to parents about technology platforms that their students are using, how they use them, and even share tips and tricks for parents as well, so they can learn the platforms, not necessarily the educational side, but learn how to do word processing, creating slides, things of that sort. So that way it helps them build up some skills as well. But one of the things that we have done and to engage the community is the importance of digital citizenship. So I have the privilege and honor to work with parents that both are English speakers and Spanish speakers here in our demographic area. So during this time actually of COVID, we've actually seen a little bit more attendance. And the reason is just because, we do have some parents that had to stay home, and we've been able to engage the community a lot more virtually. And the fact that Wakelet makes it so easy for me to create collections, both either in English and Spanish, I update these collections, I share these collections, we will meet with our parents, and then we'll have these crucial conversations here where my collection here is not loading up correctly, but I think it's just me here. But anyway, so I'll put resources here so that they have these available to them, and they can open up, and with a click, here we go, they have some resources in English or Spanish, because my passion and my vision for our district is that oftentimes we talk about learning community, but we're not really including the parents too much in that. So for myself, it has been an amazing experience to help engage our community of parents, because they are part of the learning community, because without parents, we wouldn't have students to be able to teach. So what we want to do is we want to build that community, build that bridge to say, hey, we can work on this together. And especially on a very important topic, such as digital citizenship. So it has been great to be able to talk to parents about the dangers of social media if not used properly. And of course, we still talk about the good that can come from social media. But we do hit on a lot of topics of great importance, which are sometimes sharenting. Maybe some of you may have not heard that term yet, but sharenting is something that is very big, where parents overshare and start building a digital footprint for their child. By the age of 2, many children in the United States already have anywhere from about 2,000 to 2,500 or even more pictures online. So their digital footprint is already being started by their parents. And what we tell parents is just to be very cautious as to what type of pictures, videos, and things they may be sharing, because we all know that we all have many computers in our hands, and anyone at any time, whether it's an adult or a child, can take some of those pictures and use them in inappropriate ways. So we have those crucial conversations with parents where oftentimes, we don't see that enough, coming from a school or offering that kind of training. But it is important that we share with our community, our parents, the passion that we have to take care of their kids, and that we care about them not only within our district as how they use their technology, but we care about them enough that we want to educate the parents to have those conversations at home with their students, or with their children, I should say, so that way they can think twice before they send, before they post, because a lot of those pictures, a lot of those comments, a lot of those videos can come back to haunt them later on as they move on through junior high, as they move on to high school, and even beyond that. So we'll actually put in some videos here also talking about digital detox, ways and strategies that parents can talk to their kids and, excuse me, maybe just remove them from the device for a brief time to actually have family time and face to face, so they're not talking to each other's foreheads, at the dinner table. But again, we do put these videos on here as well to educate parents and that they can even share with their child at home. So we're helping to equip parents by giving them tools to put in their parental tool belt, so that that way they can be ready and they can actually see the reality of this, which a lot of it that we talk to our parents about too as well, as I'll go back to the Spanish collection, and I'll share these in the chat in a little bit, but I do share with them how a lot of universities do look at social media. I break it down here also, if you notice, serious conversations about sexting, serious conversations about, Instagram, Discord, all of these things that are, you can go to Common Sense Media and find some great resources in Spanish and in various other languages. But one thing that we have noticed in the feedback that we get from our federal programs is that parents are very thankful, and they're being very genuine and sincere in that no one has ever talked to them about that. They have never looked or knew what digital citizenship was until they started attending the Technology Tuesdays with me, and having those conversations and being open and honest builds that relationship. And really, that's what Wakelet does. If you notice here, all the amount of people that are here, it's a community of Wakelet users that are using Wakelet in innovative ways. So going back to what Wakelet is, it definitely is a community builder, whether you are engaging the parental community, whether you are engaging your own colleagues and peers, or you're engaging your students. So this is one way that we have seen Wakelet have a tremendous impact in being able to share this important information with our parents. And as you can see, I get really excited about this because DigSit is my jam when I get to talk to parents about it. And the fact that I have a nice tool that I can share the link with them with. And we even taught them how to use Wakelet and start their own Wakelet collections. So that's also a big plus as well. So like I said, it just continues to grow. It's a wonderful community. And again, thank you, Wakelet, for what you are doing, what you have done, and where you are going. So we're just really excited for what is in store. Thank you, guys.
Oh my God, thank you so much, Fonz. That was extremely eye-opening. I love that so much. I think that you touched on subjects there which, a lot of people within the education community are thinking but don't necessarily talk about, articulate very often. And I love the idea of involving the parents in the process. Like when we built Wakelet, we wanted to make it so that content which otherwise may fall by the wayside, is re-energized by putting it in Wakelet and adding context to it. And rather than it being like a dull piece of paper or a hyperlink or an email or something which people are going to click on, making it as engaging as possible. And I think that parents, they're people. If something's boring, they're not going to want to click on it. If something looks engaging, they're going to want to click and explore it. So I love that you're involving parents in that process, and I think that it's something that more educators who are using Wakelet can definitely do very easily, even if it's just through something like a newsletter, creating a Wakelet newsletter, sharing it out to the parents. A lot of parents want to know what their students are studying in school. They want to know what's going on in the classroom. There are so many educators out there who are using Wakelet for newsletters to share it with the parents and the wider school community. So I love that. Also, you breaking down the idea of digital citizenship, it's a buzzword, let's be honest. I think that it's something which a lot of people use, and not that many people know 100% what it means. So thank you so much for showing very, very real examples of that in action. I think helping students understand that their interactions and their behavior online has consequences is just as important as explaining that to the parents as well. And, you know, even with my parents, like there's so many things that my parents are just not aware of online. They don't know what happens if they click this button. You know, they're not quite sure about, you know, scams that may appear in their inbox or text messages that they may get. There's so many times that I've like saved my parents from the brink of disaster, from stepping in and saying like, that's not real, you know? So I think that involving parents in this discussion is super, super positive. So I love that. I also love this idea that you said of building communities on Wakelet. I mean, that's what the platform is all about, right? You know, we've made it deliberate that there aren't many social elements to Wakelet in terms of interacting between each other on the platform. There's some amazing ways to do that in the future, but right now it's like, you know, the content is first and foremost, but having something there that's a reference point for everybody to come and take a look at, that's so much quicker than building a website, let's be honest. I just love that completely. Thank you so much, Hans. I really, really appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Also, sorry, no, go on, please.
Oh yeah, and I just wanted to add one thing. It's one of the another point of feedback that parents like is that if I give them the link for that day, if I find something else and I update, they get that update as well, and that is a big game changer for them as well. That they're getting real-time info as soon as I put it in. They can open up and they can see what's new, and then we can talk about or have those conversations when we see each other again for Technology Tuesday. So that is a big plus for sure.
Yeah, being able to be notified once the collection's updated. Amazing. No, thank you so much for sharing that, Fons. That was incredible. Next up, we've got Lisa. Lisa, how have you been using Wakelet recently, and do you have any tips and tricks that you'd like to share with everyone with us today?
Yes, hello everyone. Let me go ahead and share my screen, and I will show you some of the Wakelets that I have and how I use it. So everybody can see my screen now, right? Just checking. Thumbs up. Okay. All right. So I have a Wakelet collections here. I'm going to go over to, I created a workspace just for today so I could actually see it. I'm going to see if
Oh, Lisa, I think you hit mute.
Okay, I'm on. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was distracted because I'm not used to using Zoom when I present. We use Google Meet, and was trying to move all the things out of the way so I can actually see my screen to present to you. Okay, so I'm a digital learning specialist, and so we use it in the classroom, or we don't use it in the classroom, we use it with teachers, and we share resources with teachers. So that is one way that I use it, and here is some of my collections that I've shared. Let me go back here. Some things like, so when we had Asian Pacific American Heritage Month, I do a weekly newsletter to my teachers, and I add the Wakelet link in there, and I do a little blurb about it, and they just have to click on it and have all these access to all the resources. On Earth Day, I used this Earth Day collection and shared that with them. So we kind of act as a resource collector for the teachers and sort through it for them so that we can give them resources to use with their students. During Women's History Month, I shared this collection with them. So we use it. I use it in my line of work as a digital learning specialist to actually share collections that I've collected. This is one during Black History Month. And so you can see Martin Luther King Day. So those are the different collections that I've shared with them. We have an SEL one here that I've shared. Another way I use it as a digital learning specialist that helps teachers with technology tools is I use it to give them, or I use it as a handout during a webinar. So we did a Wakelet webinar here. Let me go into that one. And Sarah and I do several Wakelet webinars in our district, and we've done quite a few, and we're going to be presenting on them at a TCCA coming up, another Texas webinar, that's another Texas conference that is in Houston, actually. So we're going to be doing that later this year. But here is a Wakelet of getting started with Wakelet. So this was just, we put our slides in there. We put different images in there that we wanted to talk about. We put videos. We talked about how Wakelet has an immersive reader built in, which, by the way, is a game changer. That immersive reader is amazing. Absolutely love it. And then we just had some PDFs. So this was what we gave out after we did our Wakelet webinar, so that teachers could use these resources and just get started right away with Wakelet based on what we had taught them and then those resources. I also use it and myself to collect resources when I attend professional development. So for example, when I went to TCEA 2021, which was the virtual Texas conference, when we just attended that, I used this to collect all of my resources from the different webinars I attended and different things I collected. So it's a great way when you're attending a lot of professional development to collect resources. And I'm trying to get my teachers on board with doing that too, so they can collect their resources by subject area, by unit of study, so they can start collecting resources to use with their students too. So this was just a list of the different, I put the titles of what I attended, and then I had the links to the resources that were given out. So that's a great way to use it as you go around and you attend professional development. You can just gather up all your resources into a Wakelet. I just named the Wakelet whatever the name of the conferences, and then I just start collecting the resources. This one right here, speaking of digital citizenship, Fonz went into that a lot. That is also a really big issue in our district. I'm proud to say that this year we are actually a Common Sense certified district, because we have finally gotten enough of our schools Common Sense certified, so that we can qualify to be a Common Sense district. And so we, as digital learning specialists, promote digital citizenship quite a bit. But Fonz, I love your idea about reaching out to parents and meeting with parents on your Tech Tuesdays, whatever you call that. And what a great idea. Thanks for that inspiration, because we do need to reach out to our parents more. And sometimes I think that we forget about that. You know, we focus on our teachers and our students in our job, but we really do need to include the parents on this digital citizenship piece, because like you said, a lot of them don't understand how they have an impact on the students, digital footprint, and how they can actually teach. We need them. And I love how you have it in Spanish too, because of course, being in Texas, we do have a lot of Spanish speakers. But here's a digital citizenship Wakelet I put together that I give to my teachers, and I kind of have it sorted by middle school, because I do support all grade levels, so elementary and high school. So this one actually is for the teachers to use, but you've inspired me, and I think we're going to get a parent one together and make sure that gets blasted out in an email to them, because I think you're just right on the money with that point that you said, how we do need to teach digital citizenship to the parents. It all starts at home. We know that when it comes to education.
Very quickly, Lisa, sorry, not to interrupt, but just the people who are in the chat who aren't that familiar with Wakelet, let's say, how easy is it to create a collection like what you just showed us?
Is that for me or for everybody?
Yeah, for you, Lisa, yeah.
Oh, it is super easy. That's what, I mean, it's the power of Wakelet. That's why I love Wakelet. That's why I share Wakelet as much as I can. This digital citizenship Wakelet, I started it in about 5 minutes, and then I just started searching for different digital citizenship resources and added to it. And then once I had it started, as I started getting other things on Twitter, finding other resources on Twitter or through my emails that I'm subscribed to, I found more digital citizenship, resources, and then I would just add them. It's so easy to add to the Wakelet. And so you can create one in 5 minutes or less, and then you've just got to start. That's what's so nice about it. You just start it and then you build on it. And then someone else already brought up that as soon as, the nice thing is, even if you've already shared it out, any updates you make or changes, it's already immediate. Anybody who has that link, they see the updates immediately. So that is a fabulous thing about Wakelet, and it's one of the reasons I love it so much. It's just so easy to curate and so easy to share, and so easy to add to and update. So fabulous. Let me show you one more before I end. This is something that's big in our district now. We are a one-to-one district. We have given Chromebooks to every student from kindergarten through 12th grade, so all grade levels. And so we have a big problem with kids not taking care of their Chromebooks and Chromebook care. We have a lot of repairs needed, and that's costing the district a lot of money. So I put together this lesson. So this is another way you can use Wakelet. This is an actual lesson, and this was directed at elementary. That's why it's kind of the cutesy elementary, and we gave the little Chromebook a name. I'm Chroming the Chromebook. And this is actually what I give out to the teachers, and then they can do this 30-minute lesson with their students. And so we have a discussion with them. So I have like the whole lesson in here, what the questions they need to talk about with the students, what to tell the students, an analogy to make, a video for them to watch here, just a couple of minute video. And then I have a poster I created. By the way, just a tip, when you're doing your Wakelets, it's really handy to know Canva or some sort of graphic tool. Canva is my go-to and my favorite. I made this in Canva, and all my graphics you see I made in Canva. So this was just a real quick Chromebook care rules. Wash your hands, keep food and drinks away, always use 2 hands to carry your Chromebook. These were kind of the most reported problems we had, and so I kind of focused on the top ones, but I'm sure this is common throughout anybody that has kids using Chromebooks. These are probably the rules that are most often broken and that cause the Chromebooks to need to go into repair. And then I had a little song I put together because it is elementary and they remember things through song. So I put together this cute little song. So this is all in a lesson plan, and then we had a Kahoot game we played. So what I do is I give this to the teachers, and then they can do this lesson with the kids. Or I actually yesterday had the opportunity to actually went out and I got to teach this lesson directly to the students. So the teachers had me come out to one of the campuses. So that's another great way. So all I had to do was take my laptop. I didn't need anything else. I just logged into Wakelet. I had everything right here that I needed. So that's what's so awesome about it. It's just like you got it there. All you need is your laptop or your device, and you just log right in, and you've got access to everything you need to teach your lesson, or to gather your resources for anything, for whatever you're doing. So the only other thing I just remembered I wanted to bring up was I do have a website that I give out to my teachers, and I do embed. I have a special topics, and those Wakelets I told you that I create that are for these special topics, I embed them into the Google site, which is another feature of Wakelet that you can do. And so when they go to my website, if they've missed my email or my newsletter, you can see how this is Women's History Month, and this is embedded into this Google site of mine. So I have 4 different poetry, Earth Day, Black History, and so I have all those embedded right into my website. And so I love the ability that Wakelet has to embed into Google Sites, because we use Google Sites all over. So so those are the ways we're using Wakelet. I'm a huge Wakelet fan. I love the Wakelet community. They're just so welcoming, and everybody at Wakelet, Misbah, James, all of you, always reach out to us. You answer our emails, you help us, you support us, you ask for our feedback. And that is part of why I love being a Wakelet ambassador and part of this community. I can't say enough good things about it. That's why also it's always my favorite thing to present on. And I always want to, whenever I submit to a conference, I was like, I have to do a Wakelet one. I have to share Wakelet. It's so great. So that's what I had today. So.
Well, thank you so much, honestly. Thank you, Lisa. Was there anything else? Or was that it?
No, and actually now I'm just trying to find my Zoom so I can stop sharing. I'm sorry, my Zoom skills are not real good.
There should be a red, like a kind of red. I think I can do it here actually.
Thank you.
I did it for you. That's the first time I've ever done that as well.
So sorry. I use Google Meet all the time, and I told Sarah today, I'm like, let's get on a Zoom. I was really nervous because I don't present with Zoom at all. I need to more so I can not be so inept at it.
No, I was like that the first time I started using Zoom as well. It's like, where is everything? Honestly, Lisa, thank you so much for that. Like that was another. Honestly, that was a prime example as to why I love these webinars so much. It's just the ideas that you guys share about how to use Wakelet are so surprising, and they're always they're always so welcome. Like, we think we definitely don't think we know it all at the Wakelet team, but just when we think we pretty much know what everyone's doing on the platform, there always seems to be somebody who's doing something completely different. I love the fact that you created a Wakelet space for today's session. I love that. It's like a kind of temporary disposable space, and that's really awesome. Those of you who don't know spaces on Wakelet, spaces are really, really convenient. We use them here in the office all the time. It's just a way to create like a new area, a separate area away from your home area that you can put stuff on a particular subject in. And I love that you did that for today's session. That was incredible. I also just like the fact that sometimes it's really good to bring Wakelet back to the basics, right? Like a lot of people, when they see Wakelet being used by educators, a lot of the time, these are like superstar educators who have really innovated and they're using Wakelet in some crazy ways. But the fundamentals of Wakelet is just the ability to collect resources and share them with the people that matter. And I love that you put an emphasis on just, resource collection there, and also how that can be used practically. So, if you've got a session with your teachers or your students, I know that, a few schools still haven't got back to kind of one-on-one teaching. As like a digital handout, in the same way that you'd hand out a package in class, you can hand that out during a webinar, during a session, during a class. And the kids can be browsing that Wakelet collection while listening to you speak. So it's a really convenient way of doing it through mixed media as well. Using collections as instruction. So I love the fact that you made a Wakelet about how to use Wakelet. Like that's we call it like Wakeception. It's
Yep. I love it.
I love that you did that. We're finding that happen more and more. People using Wakelet to explain to their students or anybody else in their learning communities how to use a particular tool. And also the thing that I really love is how you're using it at conferences as well, whether they're digital or whether they're in person. I remember the first time that I used Wakelet at a conference, and I was like, how have I not been doing this my whole life? And then I realized, well, we made this so it's kind of difficult, but like it blew my mind how easy and convenient it was. Because as somebody mentioned in the chat, I think it was Tammy, resources, they come thick and fast at conferences. You've got so many different things happening. The ability to use your device to quickly capture them in one go, amazing, so easy to use, and a great evidence-based approach to your professional development as well. And then lastly, the embedding. You showed a little bit of everything today, Lisa. The embedding is really useful, and not many people know that you can do that on Wakelet. Any collection that you create, you can embed it onto a Google site, you can embed it into your LMS. So if you want your students to all be in the same place and you don't want to go to another platform, embed a Wakelet collection into your LMS, into that one place, and it will display exactly as it does on Wakelet. So thank you so much for that, Lisa. It was incredible. The chat was going crazy. And I'd like to move on to Trevor. Let's see what Trevor has to show. I'm intrigued.
Okay. Before I get into it, I would just like to start off by following up with what you were saying. The district I'm at is a Microsoft district, so the embedding piece has been key. So in the high schools here, we have a blended learning model that we've been running all year. And so we have half the students half the time. And a lot of teachers who were overwhelmed by being pushed into Microsoft Teams to start teaching with. So to get the material up, I was working with a lot of teachers where we would switch to getting them to create content in the Wakelet collection. And it was so much easier for them to embed the Wakelet collection into their team site than it was to try to figure out and navigate the complexities of something like OneNote, which, it also embeds in. So it's been a great tool in that regard. And I think it has saved a lot of headaches because the ease of use of creating a collection is, well, it's ridiculously easy, to be honest. So for me, when I was asked to do this, first thing I did was start a Wakelet collection for today that shows some of the things that I've been doing. Of course, you have all these lovely people here to start off with. But as I scroll down a little bit, I actually came into Wakelet a little bit different. I actually started looking at it as a student. So I was actually putting together my own content for courses I was enrolled in when I stumbled upon Wakelet. And I started using it as a tool to first collect articles that I was doing for research for my courses, but then it started going, well, how can I use this as a project? So I was using it to, instead of like a formal essay, I was creating a Wakelet page where I was putting together resources, and I would have my writing, but I would be able to add other things in. And then I started to realize how great Wakelet is for app smashing and how it works so well with so many other platforms. Like I already mentioned Microsoft Teams, Lisa mentioned Canva. So you can really start working things in together. And I think this collection that's showing right now, when that project was finished, I think I had a total of 21 different apps all put into that one project. So anyway, and then from that, it was just like, well, let's start finding those tech resources and building up stuff like that. So it started really working with my own personal PL. So I was collecting articles that I thought, technology that I thought would be useful for teachers to be using. But it was really just for my own personal use in the beginning, right? Some books and stuff. And then like Lisa mentioned, I started doing a lot of webinars, and I wanted to start collecting like the resources that I was getting from that, and also collecting some of the certificates I was getting, because I was getting people emailing me all these certificates for completing these webinars, and I didn't know what to do with them. So I started putting them into a Wakelet collection just as a place where I could track my own professional learning as well, right? But then I thought, hey, let's take it a little bit further. And I was hired on in this position to help integrate technology a little bit, help teachers to integrate technology. And so I created a Wakelet collection where I thought about some of the tools that, let's see if this will open, some of the tools that teachers would be using. And so I put together a collection where we would have, oh, there we go, some of the key tools that they would need. So this just links to a bunch of other Wakelet collections where it would be stuff like class setup, stuff that they would need for Microsoft Office 365, which is our platform. I have a collection on Wakelet built in here. So from one Wakelet collection, they could find out where their need is and kind of branch off into other Wakelet collections. And then I also had this connected to a website that I made, and school teams as well. So it was a great place to post all the how-to videos I was making and bring in some other resources for teachers. And then I also made it for my Wakelet ambassador application. But the reason I added this one, and I'm not going to go into it, but the idea of a portfolio, right? Putting together portfolios, having students put together their portfolios. And one of the great, fantastic things about Wakelet in this regard is that the built-in camera, the Flipgrid camera that's built in, right? So if you have students creating their own portfolios, well, you can also have them create videos embedded into it where they are actually sharing their thinking behind the project and talking a little bit about the objectives that they are reaching with the piece of work. So it makes a nice summative kind of assessment at the end, where you can have a nice collection of all their work, their justifications, their explanations, but it's also something that's shareable. So if you want the parents to see it, or even if it's for a parent-teacher meeting, you just open up your computer and the work's right there, and you can share it with the parents very, very easily, right? So it works very nicely like that, where you have the collection of students' work that you can share. And again, you can share the students' voice talking about it, and not just you telling parents about what their child is doing. What else do we have here? Let's see. More resources on remote learning, because of course that was a huge transition for the people in my district this year, and every district, I think, every school. We had to adjust with our current realities. And then, of course, as I mentioned, one of the big things was trying to get teachers to use this as a tool, whether it's embedded into their teams or not, but to present material. So this one here is a lesson I did. And again, if you go into the idea of the built-in Flipgrid camera, it is fantastic, whether you're doing a daily lesson or you're doing like a short unit or something, you can have your mini lessons built right into the Wakelet collection. So you can have the content there where you can be talking about it in class. You could use this as a presentation tool, but students can also access it later if they need to go back and look at things. And I noticed a lot of people in the chat were talking about our wonderful immersive reader tool. And I even had a teacher who was struggling with how to get content to her reluctant readers. So what we did was we chunked up some of the reading into Wakelet so that they could have the readings available. And then we embedded some forms quizzes so that they can actually do some content questions as they read through it. So we put it together kind of more like an interactive handout, right? So the idea of being able to utilize that tool for the reading for the language learners. You can, of course, add rubrics and stuff like this. This particular one was going through an assignment talking about sustainable development. And there is some more stuff I wanted to get into here, but it may take a little while to get to it because it's at the bottom. Anyway, what I did was I also embedded the pieces to relate to things like Flipgrid, again, so the students could be sharing their voice through clicking on a link in this collection. We had, again, forums were based in this too. There was an opportunity for them to give some peer feedback. So it's all kind of built into one collection, but really this is just a lesson that the students can work on at their own pace, asynchronously, but it can still also be used, again, since our classes, we had half the class at home, half the class with us. If we were looking at doing some, well, this blended model, we could have the students at home doing the same stuff as the students in the class because they could access it at home on this. And then the next day when the classes would switch, nobody would be missing a beat, right? So the lesson, the idea of putting together lessons and stuff, it was a game changer. And also with that, like we were, Fonz was talking about the idea of community, and our communities have changed a little bit. And even kind of the basic things that we normally do couldn't be done the same way this year with the COVID regulations and stuff. So with the school, we even created a lost and found using Wakelet. So instead of having the box that the kids would be digging through trying to find everything, we just took pictures of the stuff, put it on a Wakelet thing, and then people could scroll through it and see, that's mine. I love that. And then they could go to the office and claim it. And, you know, we didn't have to worry about any issues that way. So that was kind of fun. And then just, and I don't want to really use this as a plug, but I'm actually putting together a virtual conference over the summer. And part of what I want to do with it is utilize some of the tools that are going to be highlighted as the promotional pieces, right? So the program for the symposium, we're actually going to use Wakelet to create a virtual program for people to go through and see what's happening and what's going on. And then we're also going to be using it as, oh, I can't scroll down here. Let's see. We're also going to be putting together a blog, which is also going to be hosted on a Wakelet collection as well. So we're going to be sharing stuff about that through this. So we can use it for virtual events or live events even, where we can use it to not only promote, but just kind of give an outline. So if you were doing something like an art event at school, you could create a Wakelet page where you're using that to highlight the student artists and all of that stuff, do profiles, show examples of their work. So you can use it as a promotion tool for events that are happening at the school. And last thing I think I want to mention is, of course, I also like Wakelet for doing contests. So Wakelet had some great contests, some great partnerships. So, you know, of course, I had to be involved in that as well and play around with that stuff a little bit. So don't know if I've added anything new. But I will tell you before I wrap up that talking back about creating lessons and stuff like that, a highlight of my school year this year was when my son's teacher sent me a Wakelet collection as their newsletter. And I was so happy because I introduced her to it and I was hoping, I didn't know if it was going to take or not. And her and some of my colleagues and some of the new teachers I've met this year, the ones who have taken the time to try it out, they all swear by it now. And again, it's the ease of use. It's so easy to create a collection. It's so easy to embed it into whatever you want to. It's so easy to share. I even have my wife using Wakelet for her work now. So she's building collections for clients. So if you don't have it marketed to businesses, that may be something you want to go to. That might be a real moneymaker for Wakelet. Anyway, I'm not going to say anymore. I'll pass it back to you.
Trevor, thank you so much. I think you're going to have a great time looking through the chat now after your segment's over, because that was absolutely spectacular. Everything from, looking at Wakelet from the perspective of a student going forward. I think that's an amazing thing that educators can be mindful of. Student research, portfolios, all of these things are so powerful. Portfolios in particular, you're going to notice that in the next school year, portfolios are something that are going to become even bigger and more important on Wakelet just because of how powerful they are. So there's two very unique, very distinct things that you mentioned during your segment that I've never heard of before, and which is why I love these sessions so much, okay? Everyone knows what's coming from them. The first one is using it as on a parent-teacher's day, like a parent-teacher meeting. The ability to just quickly pull up the student's profile and see what this student has been working on and show their parent and help them understand the kinds of things that they're doing in the classroom blows my mind. Never heard of that before. This is brand new, breaking news right now. You can use Wakelet in that way, and I think that it would work absolutely brilliant, especially with the new student accounts feature that we've got. So if anybody hasn't already, you can import your classes from Microsoft, from Google Classrooms, and from Clever. You can import and create student accounts directly into Wakelet, and that way you can manage and view all the content that they're creating. That would be perfect to pull up during a parent-teacher session. And lastly, I obviously, sorry you've not been yet, but I think that the show stealer here has to be the Wakelet Lost and Found collection. Never seen before. The response in the chat was absolutely phenomenal for that, and I think that everybody will agree that that is the perfect example of an innovative, unusual, yet extremely useful way to use Wakelet. So I know that everyone in the chat's waiting for you to share that stuff with everyone. So thank you so much, Trevor. That was phenomenal. Twitter's going to go crazy over that. And I'm going to pass you on quickly before we run out of time, which we probably are, but it's okay. No sweat. If we go over 10 minutes, no problem. I'm going to pass you over to the incredible Sarah to go through how you've been using Wakelet this year.
Okay, so to make sure I'm unmuted and I'm presenting my screen. So hi, everyone. I am Sarah Reed. I would just say I'm starting to think back on when I started using Wakelet. I have been a digital learning specialist only for a little over a year. I started in January of 2020, and then everything kind of went crazy after that. And so I will say that Wakelet was I don't know how I would have gotten through the last year without it. A little bit of backstory. I was a technology applications teacher for 15 years. And so I had to get, I had to curate a lot of resources for my students. And so I will date myself a little bit, but I used to curate just on a Google Doc, making active links just so that I could go through and go back to things. Then I used a program called I Keep Bookmarks, which I still have out there somewhere. I even use Pocket, but I will tell you that moving to Wakelet has been, as it's been said many times today, a game changer because of the fact that it is so flexible and it has the ability to, you can collect any sort of resource on the fly. I mean, you don't even have to really think about it. And you were talking a little bit ago about how easy it is to make a collection or add to it. And I will say the biggest thing for me is using this little icon up at the top, the extension, because I will tell you every single time I'm on a website, if I think, oh, I need to save this, I just click on that little extension. It takes me right to my Wakelets. I can search for it. If I don't have one, I can go down to the bottom and I can make one really quick and then add to it. My problem is that I add a lot on the fly, and then my Wakelet tends to get a little mixed up. So not so much mixed up, but it's just not very organized. So I did go through and I tried to organize my Wakelets a little bit when I found out that I was presenting, so they looked a little bit more cohesive. So this is my main page where I curate many of the resources that I share out to my teachers and to my staff. I have started utilizing the spaces over on the left. I haven't done it a ton yet, but one of the things that I used it for when it came out was I actually curate all of my resources that I send out to my teachers weekly, because I figure that if they get the email and they don't have time to look at it on my page, and I'm not going to be able to show it because it's going to be in a different window, but on my signature line, I have a link to this Wakelet collection. So they can come out here at any time and they can go in and click on one of them. And these are all the resources that I have shared out that week in my newsletter. And so I have all of them curated here. And the thing that I like about it is not only can I put just links, because that was the problem with other curation tools that I'd used in the past. It really was just websites. There was nothing else that I could really add. I can embed images. I can put text on there. So if I've typed something up on my newsletter, I can just copy and paste it and put it into my Wakelet, so it's already here. And so this has been a good resource for my teachers to come to. If I come back over, we are actually adopting Canvas as our new LMS in the fall. So I figure we probably need to have a learning space for that. So I've gone ahead and done that. And then earlier on in the year, there was, I think, a contest. I remember something about Google, and I had created a resource for that. So I decided to start separating some of my resources that I have into spaces as opposed to one big collection. So I'm starting to move over my Google resources into one collection, so it's all here for me and I can go to it whenever I need it. But I will say that the biggest thing that I like about Wakelet is the ability to collaborate and the ability to share information back and forth. And so a couple of months ago, back in April, I was approached by our Region Center to co-host a Google Educator PLN. And they wanted us to highlight tools that worked well with Google. And immediately my co-presenter, she and I talked, and I said, I want to use Wakelet. I want to use Wakelet as our kind of our jumping off point. This is where we're going to do everything for the actual session. And so I created a Wakelet. She did all the graphics. These all were done in Canva. And again, what I love about it is I could basically just set this up just like the session was going to go. So we made our agenda and I made the Wakelet exactly the way the session was going to go. So as soon as we all joined online, because it was virtual, I shared out the collection to everyone. So I gave them this link and I put it in the chat, and everybody was able to join and everybody was able to see the exact same thing. And then I separated it out by title, by subtitles. And so we started off the PLN with, just like a getting to know you. And so we said, this year has been like what? And so we created some intro slides. And so I embedded this shared Google slide file into the Wakelet, and each one of the participants was able to come out here and add to their slide and basically introduce themselves. And it was a hoot because, they had to either come out and put a meme or put a GIF on there and then kind of introduce themselves. And so this one was kind of fun. And so everyone went out and they introduced themselves in this way. I did not have to give them another link. All I had to do is just give them this particular Wakelet link. So that was the beginning activity. Then we talked about cheers and jeers, looking back at the school year, what did it look like? And again, the beauty about Wakelet is that you can embed all different types of media in here. It can be a link, it can be a graphic, it can be something from your Google Drive, it can be text. And so we embedded a Padlet, and again, everybody went out to the Padlet, and they you know, we had a conversation both verbally and online about what was, you know, what was great about the school year, what worked, celebrations, and then things that we needed to improve or things that just didn't work out very well. But this is where I think that the future of Wakelet is going to come, is being able to collaborate. And so we went to the third piece of the agenda, whereas we wanted to know that we had like a topic, and they wanted us to come up with a topic that was the talk topic of the session. And so we came up with we wanted to know how people were creating meaningful learning experiences when engagement was challenging, because we're getting to the end of the school year, and a lot of the teachers are struggling with, what can I do to engage my kids now that our STAR test is over, now that they know that summer is almost here? This has been a tough year. And so what I did here, because I had just shared the collection with them, but I didn't want them to actually do anything yet. Then I used the invite button, and I copied that link, and I provided that in the chat. And this was the way that our participants could go out and actually share their resources, share the ideas that they had. And again, going back to any media, they could do links to websites. You'll notice that some people put in text. Some people actually embedded lesson plans that were from their drive or from their computer. And so, even the PDFs, they were able to put all kinds of resources out here, and everybody could see them immediately. The other thing, we didn't get too far into it, but I love the reactions. So if you see a particular activity that you think is really cool, then you can show your excitement by using the reactions. And you'll notice that some people did that in this Wakelet. So this was just a really easy, fun way to be able to engage everybody and have everybody be on the exact same platform and see the exact same information. And then they have this resource that they can take back to their classroom or their job or whatever it is, and they can access it again later. So I see this as being the future, as far as I've always been a huge HyperDoc fan. I see this as being kind of like the HyperDoc model, being able to embed everything in one place so that students can have that student-directed, self-paced learning. So I really feel like that's going to be the future of that. Let's see, I think that's really about all. I mean, I know everybody's really touched on curation. I do a lot of things with curating tools, curating resources. I have started getting really crazy about wanting all my buttons to look the same. So I'm kind of working on that, but that's actually a pretty big task. But I know we're almost out of time, so I want to go ahead and wrap it up. I will share my my Wakelet in the chat in just a couple of minutes, and then I will turn it back over.
Thank you so much, Sarah. That was incredible. And congratulations on having the most gorgeous looking home area of 2021. Like that's that's absolutely beautiful. I mean, as like a bit of a organization freak myself, I really appreciate that. It's color coded, the same text. It's beautiful. And actually on that, we are taking steps to try and make the cover image option on Wakelet even more sophisticated. So rather than just uploading a picture, in the future you will be able to create something like that on Wakelet. So
well, I started the color thing, and now I'm kind of wondering if I shouldn't have done that, because I'm really weird. I want all the colors to be exactly the same, but if I add another one, it's going to mess up my color scheme and my pattern. So
it comes with the territory completely. No, thank you so much for that, Sarah. Honestly, I love that. I love the big shout out for the browser extension as well. Anybody who doesn't have the browser extension, you're using Wakelet in a way which is not as good as you could be using it. Like the browser extension adds a whole different element to the Wakelet experience, because it just adds speed, quickness, the ability to just add things as you're browsing. So thank you so much for highlighting that. I love the emphasis, particularly with you, Sarah, as well, on like the value of hand-picked resources, right? the value of being able to, you as an expert in your field, pick the best resources and then share them with people, as opposed to just having like a link dump. It's not so much about quantity, it's about the quality of the information that you're getting across to people. So I really love that. Thank you for shouting out the collaborative features on Wakelet as well. Collaboration's always been a big part of everything that we do, and I know that so many people in the chat appreciate the collaboration feature on Wakelet, the ability to work with each other to create something that's, you know, bigger than the sum of its parts. And also just the simple concept, which people find difficult to get sometimes, but it really is simple. It's just this idea of Wakelet being a tool that allows you to turn multiple links into one link, you know, rather than sending a long list of hyperlinks in an email or a document, whatever it might be. It's just one cute little tiny link that has everything there, and everything's embedded as well, so it makes it a much cooler place to be than a document. Thank you for shouting out reactions as well. Reactions have been really, really popular within the community. So many awesome ways, whether it's like feedback or just to kind of check in with students and see how they feel. It's crazy what a tiny little enhancement can do, and the implications that has on the platform. Amazing. And again, also just again, the emphasis on having everything in one place and the real value of that. I really, really appreciate you joining us. I appreciate yourself, Sarah, Lisa, Trevor. Honestly, thank you so much. I know that we've gone over time here, so I'm going to wrap up. At the moment, Fonz couldn't be with us. He had a hard deadline that he had to get out of at exactly 12 p.m. So he wants to send his thank you to everybody who's joined us again today. Honestly, guys, I appreciate this so much. I've learned so much. You've once again solidified the reasons why this is my favorite webinar series out there. So much to learn from you, amazing people. And honestly, everybody watching in the chat, if you feel like you have ideas that you want to share with the rest of the community, please go ahead. Go to community.wakelet.com, get in touch with us on Twitter, and, you know, propose that you'd like to be a part of this webinar going forward, because I know that everyone has even crazier, amazing ideas out there. Thank you all so, so much. I want to shout out very, very quickly. We have Community Week coming up in just like over a week's time right now. It is going to be insane. We're going to kick it off with Wakelet Live on the 7th. It's going to be one of the best shows that you're ever going to see this entire year, like guaranteed. So many treats, so many awesome surprises. You're going to get a tour of the Wakelet offices as well. It's going to be so much fun. And then Community Week itself, that's the place to be in June. Like, I'm sorry, you know, loads of free sessions, 5 keynote speakers, amazing competition, so much to learn, networking, mindfulness. You're going to have an incredible time. So I'm going to drop the link of where you can get all that information in the chat right now. And please, we want this to be as big as possible. It's a free conference. Invite your colleagues, invite your coworkers, invite your family. Anybody who wants to grab a ticket can get one. Thank you all for joining us. I know that it's gone over time a little bit. As always, I appreciate you so much. We all appreciate you joining us and taking the time out of your day. But very quickly before I go, I want to give you guys the last word, like a quick message to the educator community and a sign off. Sarah, how about you? Do you want to go first?
Yeah, so I would just say that if you haven't started using Wakelet, it all you need to do is just start your first collection. That's it. And then you're going to be hooked. I mean, it's an obsession with me now.
Yes. Yes,
All it takes is one.
It starts with the first one. Take that first step. It's so easy to use. It's so versatile. Obviously, we found out a new way to use it today from Trevor. The Lost and Found blew my mind. We got to share that with our campuses. Lost and Found on Wakelet, love it. So I come here all the time and get new ideas. It's easy to use, amazing collaboration piece, curation piece, everything. Love it. So get on board.
Thank you so much, Lisa.
I just hope Wakelet can now help reconnect people with their lost items. I mean, lots of smiles. That's what I'm hoping for. So
you're gonna make a lot of parents really happy. That's for sure.
Yes.
I just loved it. Like because it's like taking something from real life that's like an important part of the school, like, you know, every day, and being able to put it, you know, virtual and still have the exact same effect. It's ingenious, and I absolutely love it. And I know that Twitter's going to cook up a storm about this one. Honestly, you're going to set a trend. Everyone's going to be sharing the cute, adorable Lost and Found collection stuff. I appreciate it. Thank you all so much. Honestly, I've absolutely loved today's session. It's been one of my favorites of all time. Guys, joining me, Sarah, Lisa, and Trevor, you guys feel free to leave or mute your mics and your cameras, and you can reply to things if you want to. We'll leave it open for just a few minutes in case anybody wants to kind of scroll up and grab any links that they may have missed. Everyone's certificates will be arranged. You'll get them in your mail pretty soon. And from behalf of me and everybody at Wakelet, I appreciate you. We love you. Thank you all so much for joining, and we can't wait to see you at Community Week. Thank you all. Take care.